Welcome to the ultimate guide on proper vehicle grounding. Guys, proper vehicle grounding is arguably the most important part of your vehicle's electrical system. In this video, we're gonna go over all of that by installing every ground connection in our blank canvas here, my 55 Chevy truck frame. So stick around and ensure your vehicle's electrical system runs smoother than ever before. What's up, guys? Welcome back to INTHESHOPTV. In the last video, we installed our battery and we got our positive and negative cables ran up the frame. We did it that way because with a battery relocation, I wanted to have positive and negative terminals up front where everything's going to be, as well as grounding to the rear of our frame, which we're going to do a little bit later. For right now, what I want to do is focus on getting the main ground to our starter bolt. I should warn you guys, however, grounding to the starter bolt is a completely controversial topic that will create quite a stir. Some people say that you should never do that, and they're not without good reason why. The reason why you should never ground to the starter bolt, although I'm going to do it anyway, is because when you place that copper ring terminal in between the bolt and the starter housing, it's going to heat cycle, meaning that it's going to heat up and cool down, heat up and cool down, and all that expansion and contraction can tend to loosen that starter bolt over time. And if you don't have your starter seated perfectly and nice and tight, you might eat up flywheels. You might even crack the engine block where it's mounted, especially on these LS mounting pads where the starters bolt up. So it is a controversial thing to do. There's a reason I'm doing it. I'm doing it because we have a battery relocation project, and it is the path of least resistance for the flow of electrons to the component that it's powering, which is the starter itself. So the other reason that I'm doing it is because this car is going to live on my lift in my shop. It goes to car shows, it gets driven to date night. It stands to reason that I'm going to be under this thing all the time, once a week, checking stuff, retightening. It's not really much of a risk to somebody like me or a vehicle like this. If you're grounding a daily driver, I would 100% caution against doing it like that for the reasons that I mentioned before. So just this disclaimer right off the bat before we even get started, grounding to your starter may not be right for you. It's gonna work for me in this situation, but if you're grounding your daily driver, you might wanna go to your engine block first. All right, enough of that, let's get started. I'm gonna start by uncovering our positive and negative terminal blocks up front. So we're gonna be using the same really thick 0-gauge wire that we ran all the way up the vehicle frame from the battery to make this jump from our terminal block to our starter bolt. Next, we strip both ends back, exposing some bare wire. So the cable to our starter bolt is done, but what I wanna do now is I've got some titanium heat wrap here. I'm just gonna put this over this wire because this wire is gonna lay close to where the headers are, and this will protect any type of heat that rises up from those headers that might affect this cable, even though it's gonna be a pretty good distance away from it. Better just be safe than sorry. Okay, so there's our completed ground cable. Basically, it's this stuff, this titanium wrap is the same thing as TechFlex. You just kind of slide it on, you bunch it up, and then snake it down the wire. I did put another piece of string tubing on the end just to keep the ends from fraying. So we're gonna start with the starter bolt. I dabbed a little bit of OX100 on there, which is basically oxidation guard, so we don't get any type of galvanic corrosion or anything. All right, so we've now got one solid continual ground from our battery to our terminal block and to our starter. I think I might drill a hole through this boxing plate and just run it inside of there. It would look a lot neater and I just wouldn't have to worry about it at all. Yeah, that's a lot better. Got a second hole drilled in there for our positive cable. You know what, guys, I know it's supposed to be a ground video, but might as well get our positive starter wire snaked through there as well. All right, guys, so now this is the closest we are to the header, which is our starter bolt right here, which is nothing we can do about that, but I mean, I've got a full giant mitt right in between this cable and this tube, so plenty of clearance there. Probably didn't even need this titanium protection, but it really can't hurt. All right, now that we've got a really good solid connection going straight from our positive on the battery to our starter and straight from the negative on the battery to the starter bolt and engine block, we've got ourselves a really good starting point to work with. Now I'm gonna turn my focus to chassis grounds. So I'm thinking that I wanna do two different grounds, one in the rear on the frame and one on the front. This first one we're gonna do right at the battery, kind of where that boxing plate is in the rear. My plan for that is just to hit this terminal up right here, the short wire. We'll take this bolt out that holds our battery tray on. This is all welded to the frame. I'll grind a little bit of paint off of there to get a nice, good, solid ground to our frame here. And then up at the front where we ran our ground wire and we have our terminal blocks right here, what we're gonna do is tap onto one of those lugs and then ground our frame at the front and then come across and ground our engine again and maybe the frame again on that side. So I went ahead and took that bolt out. I'm gonna go ahead and just remove a little bit of the paint that's on there. All right, so I made up a short cable here. I went ahead and tinned that wire a little bit like we did with the other one that goes into our battery terminals. And I went ahead and tinned the back of this copper ring terminal a little bit since we're gonna be in contact with steel. It'll just kind of help a little bit against galvanic corrosion. I know it's not as bad as like copper against aluminum. Then we're gonna use some ox guard on there just to give it a little bit of extra protection. All right, so we got a good solid chassis ground at the rear. We're gonna go ahead and start working on the front now. All right, so we're working with number 2 cable now, and what I did is I took a number 2 cable, crimped an end on it, and I came off of that stud. I ran it through that boxing plate up here, came out, and we're gonna ground our chassis to one of these bolts. And then I think we're gonna jump across here, our cross member, and catch an engine ground right up here. All right, so I made up a short piece that's gonna go from that frame bolt. It's gonna jump over the cross member and onto the engine block on the other side. All right, so I routed that cable across the cross member. I've got it temporarily held here with zip ties. I'm gonna get some clamps and kind of tap this cross member so it's more permanent. Going up to our block right there. I did clean off that part of the block with some paint and rust. The only thing I don't like is that bolt is old and kind of crappy. So I'll run to the hardware store and get a new bolt just to make sure that we have good contact. Then it's probably not necessary, but I'll make another jumper and come over here and catch one of the holes in the frame on this side. We'll leave that loose right now so we can make a jumper to come over here to the other side. All right, truthfully, there's some extra steps here that I took that you do not need to take. Where we ran this ground cable to our frame rail, we could have then ran this cable straight to the engine block and been done and not have that ground wire go to the starter at all. Just grounding the engine block should be completely sufficient. That's enough. That's all you need to do in most cases. And then sweeping back across again to the opposite side of the frame is also more redundancy. In fact, some people might even make the argument that too many grounds is no good, even though you always hear you can never have too many grounds. What you want to avoid is ground loops because that can cause interference with some electrical components on your vehicle. All right, the vehicle's not ready to start yet, obviously, but I don't want to go through all this work and not test it out. So I want to do 2 things now. We're going to test A, for continuity in some bizarre places and kind of all over this frame and make sure we have good continuity throughout. I also want to break out a multimeter and put it on the ohm setting and just check for resistance at all these different locations and see how good of a grounding job we did or didn't do. All right, so the first test I want to do is we're going to set our meter the volts DC, and what I want to check is our 12 volts here at the battery. There's no fuse yet, so I'm just going to put one lead here at the battery, and then by all intents and purposes, this screw right here that holds my clamp would be considered by most to be a bad ground. So let's see what we get by going to this location. So I don't know if you can see the screen there in the multimeter, but we have 12.47 volts, which is what we should see on a new battery. So this tells me that we have a good frame ground, because when you make contact with the frame or any part of the ground system or positive terminal or anything, it's that flat part of the battery terminal that makes contact with the flat part of the surface. That is your ground. Guys, threads on the bolt don't count as a ground. It is not a good source of a ground. The nut itself, none of that matters. It's just the flat part of your terminal making contact, which is why we scrape away paint, as you guys saw. This is just a tiny little number 10 screw going through our frame, and the only thing that we're reading on the screw head right there is the actual threads that are touching the hole, which the hole is slightly larger than the threads. So just kind of a testament right there to the fact that it looks like we have good frame grounding so far. All right, let's poke around back here a little bit more. We're gonna set our meter to continuity, and we should hear it beeping when we have continuity from one ground to the next. So let's take some not too good locations. We'll take this washer, which is up against paint where our fuel line is, to the bolt over here on our frame or our battery tray. And we have continuity there. All right, let's go again off the bolt of our frame to screw up here, up on our step bars. The ladder bars, we have good continuity there. Almost lost the meter there. Let's grab another frame screw on this side. All right, looking good so far. Let's check the top of our cylinder head, which has a bunch of paint on it. All right. So here is our chassis ground. We'll go against that. Let's check our rack and pinion. All right. All right, guys, the test of all tests, we've set our meter to ohms. So we want to see how much resistance we're getting. So just as a baseline, when we touch our two probes together, we get 0.4321, okay. So even this meter is, technically by touching these together, we should have 000, but we're picking up just the tiniest bit of resistance there. So I'm gonna call that right there, 0.2, our baseline for 0 ohms basically. So whatever we check, I need to see it 0.2 or lower. So anything over that tells us we got a little bit of resistance. Let's go from our frame grounding screw here, and I'll take one probe and come up to an engine mount bolt. What do we get? 0.3, okay, very good, 0.2, that's what we want to see. So no resistance really at all. Let's do something that should have some resistance and not be so great. Control arm, this goes through a rubber bushing first. So we're staying static on that terminal right there. Still pretty good, 0.2 on the control arm bolt. There's a rubber bushing in between it. All right, let's see what else we can take. 0.3 on the oil pan plug, 0.2, 0.3, 0.2. All right, no resistance at all between our frame ground and our oil pan drain plug. All right, guys, just for argument's sake, let's take this last reading here. There's only the one ground on the frame rail up front there by the engine. We're about halfway back. This is our transmission cross member. So I think what I want to do here is grab this bolt. Now this is powder coated, right? Sitting on top of a powder coated transmission cross member with a grade 8 bolt. The only thing touching would be threads, if they're touching at all. And let's come over here to one of these crappy grounds, which is our loom bracket. No resistance at all. Guys, I don't think we could get better than that. So I don't know, that's kind of interesting that we would have, when we touch our probes together right off the meter, we'd have, our baseline was, what was it, 0.2 or 0.1. And then when we go from the two crappiest, what should be the two crappiest ground locations on this vehicle, we're getting no resistance whatsoever. So guys, I think we're sufficiently grounded here. I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. I don't think we're gonna have any issues. Like I said, that starter bolt, total controversy right there. I'm admitting my own stuff because like I said, that's gonna heat cycle, that can loosen over time. And also those two bolts, especially in the LS, they have a knurled end, which is used to kind of locate that starter in that position. If you guys remember the old Chevy blocks and all that, they'd have the shims or whatever that you put in there. Technically, it's not necessary on these starters because of those knurled shoulders on those bolts. They hold that starter in just the right position. And now one of them is down, 1/16 of an inch. So is that really gonna make a difference locating it? No, because the starter was firmly installed before I removed the one bolt. So I don't think that's gonna affect anything. However, like I said, this is gonna be up on a lift all the time. It's gonna be stored on a lift all the time. I'll be under here at least once a week with a diaper, wiping everything down and checking everything. So it's not a problem for me, but again, I don't know if you want to mount to the starter in your daily driver. It's probably not the best idea. An engine block bolt closest to the starter as possible would be the best mounting location for your battery cable, in my opinion. If they made a starter bolt that had kind of a threaded end on the end of it with a shoulder bolt where you can use it to lock it in place and you could put your battery cable on that stud on the bottom of it with a nut, man, that'd be great. Somebody needs to look into making that. One of you guys that got a machine shop over there should make one of those. I'll be your first buyer. Holy crap, do I have a colossal mess to clean up after this project. Guys, we've covered the essential steps on grounding for this battery relocation project on the old 55 Chevy truck. From establishing solid block and frame grounds to making custom battery cables, we've built what I consider to be a pretty robust electrical system. Remember that proper grounding is the cornerstone to any vehicle's electrical system. I have to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, Optima Batteries. This whole system starts with that Optima red top back there, and I'm truly honored to have such quality components going in my 55 Chevy truck build. That's gonna do it for this video, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. As always, thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you in the shop.